Hello, everyone. Thank you again for joining 79 Consulting's webinar on how to integrate with NetSuite. My name is Daisy Morales. I'm the account executive for Tarana and 79 Consulting. But before we get started, I'd like to share a little bit of background information on 79 Consulting, which is the sister company of Tarana. So 79 Consulting was created as a way to simplify our name to our clients. Many found it difficult to accurately pronounce Tarana, so our name was a little bit of a tongue twister, so we came up with a new one for ease of use. Hence, as to why this may be the first time you're hearing about 79 Consulting. So now that that's out of the way, allow me to provide you some details as to who we are and what we do. So as a company, we were founded in 2007 as a Salesforce and NetSuite consulting firm. In 2008, we became a NetSuite solution provider. In 2014, we created our first suite app, SkyDoc, our storage solution for NetSuite. We now have over 8 apps on SuiteApp.com. However, we continue to provide support, manage services, and integration services for NetSuite, Salesforce, and Workday clients through 79 Consulting. For some of you just joining, my name is Daisy Morales. I'm the account executive for Toronto and 79 Consulting. As the account executive, I'm the point of contact for product demos, sales, and customer-facing questions, as well as the occasional webinar. And I'd like to introduce my counterpart and today's speaker, Karen Coley. Karen has been with us for over 3 years and has over 16 years of overall IT experience. He's also leading our integration team, which is responsible for delivering and maintaining the integration requirements. So now let's get started. During this webinar, we'll be talking about integrations and integration platforms. Karen will provide us with a quick demo on how to integrate with NetSuite with a couple of integration platforms. Hi, Karen. Can you tell us what is integration?
Hi, Daisy. Hi, everyone. In simple terms, integration means bringing multiple systems together to work as a single system by allowing them to share the data, emulate the business process that individuals follow in case the work has to be done manually. So if your organization has multiple systems, making all of these systems work together for a common goal is called integration.
Thanks for that explanation, Karen. So can you tell us why would a company need integrations? So basically, are you saying that integration will help automate all of the business processes between multiple apps or systems that are trying to fetch data simultaneously?
Yes, integration avoids moving data from one system to another system manually, thus avoiding the laborious effort and or any human errors that is involved. So because we automate while building the integrations, it will also help increase productivity.
So can you provide us with the different types of integrations?
Sure, there are 4 ways. One-way sync, bidirectional sync, real-time processing, and batch processing. One-way sync is where data flows only in one direction, meaning either retrieve data from source system or send data to a target system. In bidirectional sync, data flows in both directions. Here, the data is sent or received between 2 sets of systems. Real-time processing is when a particular event on the source system triggers sending data into the target system. So batch processing is when the integrations run on schedules.
So quick question for you. Can we have one-way and two-way sync combined with real-time and batch processing?
Yes, we can use the combination of one-way sync or two-way sync with either real-time or batch processing. I would prefer to use batch processing though, because the batch processing runs on schedules. We'll have better control on the integrations when there is a need to pause or resume.
Great. So what are the types of integrations supported by NetSuite?
NetSuite supports multiple integration types. So let's start with SuiteTalk Web Services. The SuiteTalk platform is a NetSuite standard web services framework. It allows users to build integrations between NetSuite and third-party applications using Java, .NET, C Sharp, or PHP. SweetTalk is SOAP-based, which allows you to securely access NetSuite data and execute business process using an XML-based application interface. So NetSuite's schema browser provides all the necessary details required to access various records and fields used by the SweetTalk. You can also integrate with custom records using SweetTalk web services.
Thanks, Karen. So I'm curious about the pros and cons of SweetTalk web services. Can you go over them for us?
Yeah, sure. Let's start with the pros. It provides robust security and error handling framework. It does real-time updates to the data in the NetSuite. A developer doesn't need to know the knowledge of SweetScript. Validations on the fields are done automatically. The web services only role can be used to ensure that the account used for integration can access NetSuite only using web services.
Okay, great. So what about the cons?
So now the cons, there's something called a concurrency limit. A Sweet Cloud Plus license is required to perform multiple web service operations concurrently. Without Sweet Cloud Plus, only one web service operation can be performed at any given time by a user. Also, SweetTalk web services involves coding, and you need to have a resource who understand how web services and Visual works.
And now for a quick tip. In the NetSuite 2020.2 release, data-specific URLs are going away. So if you currently have web services that use such URLs, make sure they are updated to the new account-specific URL format before the upgrade. And now back to Kieran.
Thanks, Daisy. Moving on to RESTlets. RESTlets run inside your NetSuite instance and expose data to both internal and external systems. So they are server-side scripts that interact with NetSuite data based on RESTful design principles. You can invoke a RESTlet via HTTP request to a system-generated URL. So RESTlets send and receive content in a request-response model. So they also support the entire SweetScript API and generic SweetScript features such as debugging. So while SweetTalk API comes as an out-of-the-box solution with your NetSuite subscription, RESTlets need to be specifically coded as per your exact integration requirements. In most cases, RESTlets will be the most flexible integration option for NetSuite.
Thanks, Karen. So what are some of the advantages of RESTlets?
Sure, let's go over them. The custom development aspect of RESTlets provides you with more control and flexibility with regards to the integration logic. So RESTlets are relatively quicker in terms of response time. They come with a limited downtime unless you exceed the data limits. They provide built-in authentication based on token or user credentials in the HTTP header. RESTlets are comparatively more secure because the SweetScript is inside your NetSuite instance. And RESTlets support both JSON and XML content types, unlike SweetTalk, where only XML content type is supported.
Thanks for those advantages, Karen. Now, do you mind going over some of the disadvantages?
Yeah, sure. So there is heavy coding inside NetSuite using SweetScript, which requires fairly substantial knowledge of SweetScript to implement correctly. The concurrency limit is applicable here too.
Thanks, Karen. Now let's talk about Sweetlets. Sweetlets are an extension of SweetScript API and are ideal for generating NetSuite pages, returning data such as XML, text, and redirecting requests. Am I right, Karen?
Yes, that's correct, Daisy. Sweetlets are also server-side scripts that operate in a request-response model and are invoked by HTTP GET or POST to the system-generated URLs. Suitelets enable users to create custom pages that look like NetSuite pages and doesn't need access to NetSuite. Backend Suitelets do not use any UI objects and are used to execute backend logics.
Thanks so much, Karen. So can you go over some of the advantages of the Suitelets?
So, Suitelets can be exposed as public URLs and can be accessed by non-NetSuite users, even without having NetSuite access.
Great. So what's one major disadvantage of working with Suitelets?
So, in a way, the pro of this Suitelet is also its con. It is not secure compared to RESTlets or web services. As anyone who knows, the public URL will be able to access programmatically. Once again, the concurrency limit that we talked earlier is applicable in this case as well.
Now let's chat about REST API. The NetSuite REST Web Services provides an integration channel that extends the capabilities of SuiteTalk. REST Web Services provide a REST-based interface for interacting with NetSuite. Karen, what type of operations can we do with REST Web Services?
So using the REST web services, we can perform create, read, update, and delete operations on NetSuite records, and can also execute NetSuite queries on the records.
Let's go ahead and go over the advantages and disadvantages of REST Web Services, shall we, Karen?
Sure, let's start with the advantages. So simple access to records metadata, easier handling of custom records and custom fields, easy to navigate API documentation. So in contrast to RESTlets, you don't need to write, deploy, and run custom scripts. You can access REST API without any knowledge of the Suite script. And moving on to some disadvantages, only body fields can be used as parameters for querying the data. Query only returns the record IDs and not the entire data. Making queries on transactions and certain other record types is not yet supported. So using the REST API, fewer calls may be required to accomplish a business flow compared to SOAP web services. However, you might still have to make multiple calls to accomplish a business flow as opposed to RESTlets, where the entire flow can be accomplished in a single call.
Thanks, Karen. You know, I've heard you mention concurrency limit quite a few times as one of the cons and almost all of the integration times. Can you tell us what is concurrency and how can we find the concurrency limit for our NetSuite account?
So within NetSuite, the number of connections you can have with the server at the same time is called concurrency. NetSuite admins can go to setup, integration, web services preferences, and see their account's concurrency governance called account concurrency limit. The numbers listed on the screen here is the maximum number of concurrent requests that is allowed for a particular NetSuite account type.
So these integration options sound like we need a developer who has pretty strong knowledge in some of these programming languages. Is there any other way that we can integrate with NetSuite?
Yes. The integration platforms help us integrate with NetSuite pretty easily without the knowledge of any of these programming languages. So let's take a look at what an integration platform is.
Sure. So an integration platform is a software that helps us connect or bring together the multiple systems that we talked about earlier. Apart from being able to connect to multiple systems, how can integration platforms help us, Karen?
Sure. First, they help utilize pre-built connectors already developed by the platform teams. So they also transform the data from source system to the target system the way the target system expects. Lastly, they automate the data flow between the systems, either real time or on a scheduled basis, and monitor the data flow between all the systems.
Thanks, Karen. So it sounds like what you're saying is that the key advantage of an integration platform is that you will be able to manage and monitor all of your integrations or data movement from a single place, which is very important in today's world. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Also, integration platforms not only help us connect our internal systems together, but also help us connect to the external systems from which we are seeking services. At the same time, monitoring all these from a single place.
Thanks, Karen. So moving on to iPaaS, or Integration Platform as a Service. When an integration platform is available on cloud for developing, managing, or deploying the integrations, it's called Integration Platform as a Service. iPaaS helps us build the integration flows in any combination of on-premise or cloud-based applications across multiple organizations. These are some of the top iPaaS solutions available today: Dell Boomi, MuleSoft, Jitterbit, Informatica, Integrator.io, and Workato. Karen, do you mind telling us a little bit more about iPaaS?
Like you said, Daisy, iPaaS is an integration platform that is available on cloud. Uh, iPaaS has pre-built connectors developed and tested to a range of applications in the ERP, HCM, CRM domains, and so many other areas as well. It is a single place where we can monitor the utilization and the health of our integrations. Also gives the ability to start and stop the integrations based on the need. Most of these integration platforms also comes up with built-in EDI support. These can also be used as a ETL tool.
Thanks, Karen. So you've mentioned pre-built connectors. What is a pre-built connector?
So in our current context of NetSuite integrations, Dell Boomi or MuleSoft, for example, has already developed connections between their platform and NetSuite and made it readily available for us to use. So the iPaaS solution comes with the connectivity setup between the platform and number of applications, hence the pre-built connectors. Pre-built connectors eliminates the dev work involved in developing the connectivity between the two systems, thus eliminating the cost to be incurred on the developer and or the infrastructure. Instead, we can focus the resources or effort on building the actual business flow of the integration. So this enables us to deliver projects faster, which in turn returns the productivity of the resource. So the plug and play feature of these pre-built connectors allows us to start the new integrations in very less time. This in turn helps increase the scalability of the companies by starting up new projects in very few clicks.
I see. So because we're not building the connections, the maintenance overhead is also off of our shoulders, correct? Which would mean that the platforms are responsible for maintaining connectors whenever there's a change made by the actual system.
Yes, Daisy, that is correct. In addition to that, a team can remove the connectors in a matter of few clicks. This gives us flexibility to accommodate the upcoming business needs without having had to have too much churn. So for the next few minutes, let's take a look at a couple of platforms and then see how easily a pre-built connector can be configured and used.
Okay, so before we move on to the demo, I'd like to remind our audience that we have someone on our team available to answer your questions in real time. Please be sure to use our chat feature should you have any questions. And now moving on to the Dell Boomi demo.
I hope everyone is able to see my screen.
While Karen is working on the demo, we are utilizing a dev account, which is a lot slower than a general production account. So if you see a lag in time, it's because we're on a demo dev account.
Okay, we'll start with how simple it is to use a NetSuite connector in Boomi. We'll be using token-based authentication to connect to NetSuite. So to generate the required tokens for NetSuite, your NetSuite admin should go to Setup, Integrations, Manage Integrations, and Create New. For today's demo, I have already generated the tokens that I'll be using. So this is how the landing page of Delbumi looks like. Let's see how to fetch a customer records from NetSuite using Delbumi's pre-built connector. I will go click on new component. I'll give a name. If you see, these are all the different type of pre-built connectors that NetSuite already created. We'll select NetSuite here. And all the actions available on NetSuite to Suite Talk Web Services are also made available here. Today we'll use query and we'll see how to create a connection now. Click the add button. So the latest web services URL is already pre-populated. And since we are using token-based authentication, we'll populate only account number, consumer key, consumer secret, token ID, and token secret. In the best interest of time, I've already set up the connection that we can use, which I'll show you in a bit. The second step is to create the operation. So we'll go to operation. We'll give a quick name, customer search. So we need to import the profile of the record on which we are going to perform this operation. Quickly select the connection. So it basically pulls all the records that NetSuite has on this particular account. And we will select customer here. Because this is a demo account, it takes some time to create the profile. I actually went ahead and created the profile also in the demo area, which I'm going to show it now. So there is the connection and profile that I've already set up. I populated the account number, consumer key, consumer secret is encrypted, and token secret is encrypted as well. That's the connection.
It looks so easy, Karen.
Okay, the connection is set up. I'll show you the profile real quick. So these are all the different fields that are available on NetSuite customer record. And I've added a parameter to pull the customer records that are last modified after September 1st. And I think we're ready to run this. It shows where each step is being executed. Yeah. Okay, the job is completed. So it pulled back around 9 customer records. So these are few test records, and then we'll use these records in the further business processing when we build in continuous flows. Back to you, Daisy.
Wow, that was great, Karen. Thank you so much for showing us how to integrate. All right, and now back to Karen with our demo on MuleSoft. Let's take a look at the second platform, MuleSoft. It looks as though MuleSoft is one of the leaders in integration platforms, and we'll be demoing MuleSoft's Anypoint platform.
Sure, let's perform the same operation using MuleSoft Anypoint platform as well. The connection and the operation setup is similar to what we have seen earlier in Delbumi. I'll directly walk you through what I have already set up. So I created a simple scheduler to kick off the integration. I've set it up to run every 1 hour. We can configure all these different values and different combinations. And we'll quickly take a look at the NetSuite connector. So similar details, the account ID, consumer key, consumer secret, token ID, and token secret here. We'll run a test to test the connection. It is success. So I guess we can run this integration directly.
And just again, as a disclaimer to all of our viewers today, we're running these demos on a dev account, so they may be a little slower than your actual production account.
So because I've put it on the scheduler, it automatically triggered the integration, and then the green tick indicates that it has executed. So if you look at the output, it has brought all the customer records, similar to what we have seen in Delbumi, and then we will use these records in the next business flows.
Thanks, Karen. So what are some of the challenges we face? It sounds like iPaaS performance cannot be taken for granted, and we should still need a plan for the upgrades, maintenance, and backups to help keep the integrations running smoothly.
That is absolutely right. iPaaS systems will warrant maintenance and upgrades of their pre-built connectors whenever the actual system upgrades on their side. Also, most of the organizations keep their data behind the firewall, which is not readily available for the cloud-based iPaaS solutions. So additional strategy and setup is required to overcome this.
Karen, would I be correct in saying that data doesn't come the same way from all of the systems, and that data transformation and mapping is a tedious process in any integration and pretty time consuming? So the person who's developing this needs to understand how both the source and target system work.
Yes, that's correct, Daisy. Additionally, we will need to ensure that the data is available for the next business processes to run correctly. Some of the challenges we face related to data are data is not available at all. Data is there, but it's late. Data is not validated or formatted correctly, and duplicate data is sent, and the data that we received is of poor quality.
Thanks, Karen. So in wrapping up our webinar, can you share what you believe to be some of the best practices?
Sure. First, identify and understand the business needs. Check with which integration approach will solve the business needs. Do not decide the tool or the platform first. Uh, Key for any successful integration is to understand the purpose of the integration, understand what we are moving and why, analyze the downstream impact of any integration that we need to perform. And knowing the system architecture of your organization plays an important role in defining the integration requirements. assess the overall impact on other systems because of one particular integration. Also, consider the overall cost involved for an integration requirement. Sometimes it might be cost effective to build the integration directly rather than using a platform. Always have long-term goal of your organization in mind before choosing a platform.
So much information. And thank you so much for going over how to integrate with NetSuite, Karen. And thank you again for joining us this afternoon and participating in today's webinar. If you're not already following us on social, please do so now. I'm going to go ahead and leave with our contact information. Should you have any questions regarding this webinar or any of our services or suite apps, we have team members across the globe to help facilitate your needs. Thank you again so much for joining us, and have a wonderful rest of your afternoon.